Hi everyone, Joy here. It is September the 6th, 2021, and I'm taking the time this morning to fix an error in a YouTube video I made several months ago. I was showing you how to do the bum tuck. If you get saggy fabric under your bum when you sew a garment, when you make a pant garment, and I made a mistake. I told you something wrong. Glenda emailed me. She said, Joy, you didn't tell him right. So I have fixed, I've taken out the part where I said it wrong, and I have fixed it so I said it right now. So there was some happy birthday stuff in this original video. I've cut all of that off, and so now starting right here, we'll show how you do a bum tuck if you end up with too much fabric under your bottom when you make a pattern. And be sure, anytime you have a question or you think I said something wrong, because I say a lot of things wrong these days. I just made a video yesterday and I said, oh, I can't believe I called that. That's not what it's called. Remember, I'm 71 years old. And even though I edit it, sometimes I hear it and I still don't hear it. You know what I'm saying? I hope this video is super clear now and will be helpful to everyone who watches it. You're going to need a rotary cutter for this lesson. I just happen to have these half-scale patterns. I've had them for years and years and years. It says January 10, but this was probably 10 years ago I got these. Half-scale practice patterns master set. So we're going to play like this is pants. This might be knee-length pants because they don't go all the way down. But somebody asked me what I do back here, and I did not make these. Somebody asked me what I do back here to take the tuck underneath my rear end so I don't have sagging, bagging fabric back there. It is so easy. Now actually, Lorraine Henry, she's the most darling, adorable, wonderful teacher, lady, lovely lady. She's got to be my age. She is a wonderful teacher, and she has a whole fitting system that's different from anything I have ever shown you. It's very interesting and easy. But out of all the different systems that I learned, I prefer the Palmer and Plesh because I like to pin the paper pattern together and put it on me. But anyway, you don't need that information. So here is a pant pattern. You see these two lines? These are the exact same two lines Peggy Sager uses. The exact same. This line is to take a tuck up on your hip. Not down in your crotch, up on your hip. This is actually opened up into a big dart. And rear ends, bottoms, what shall we call it nicely, derrieres. Derrieres come in cup sizes just like boobs do. They do. There's A's, there's B's, there's C's, there's D's, and then there's flat fannies. Flat fannies like I have. I didn't have a flat fanny when I was young, but I got one now. So, one pattern is not going to fit every cup size of a rear end. You may need a smaller cup size up here, across here, or you may need to remove the excess baggage underneath here. I'm hoping the camera's picking that up, okay? Underneath here. One is for across here, and one is for underneath here. And it's just like a sway back. It is so easy. You need to cut it down both sides. Of course, you won't be using these little baby patterns, but if it helps you, copy the back of an envelope. There's lots of places you could get a printout like this. So you want to cut out a pant. If you can't find one, draw one. It's not hard to draw. Get you out a pattern that you have of a pant and trace it on a piece of paper. There's so many ways to do it. So what you're going to do is you're going to come down at least 5/8 inch you want to make sure you're not cutting off this seam allowance up here underneath your crotch when you do this. You are going to cut it from the inside of you, in here. You're going to cut it from in here to out here. Inside to the outside. You don't need to remove it here. This is fine out here. You don't need to remove that. You need to remove this in here, right here. Okay? So imagine a tuck, hard to do on your own body. Imagine a tuck right here, over to here. Okay? That's what we're doing. And the bulk of it is here, and it goes over here to nothing. Alright? So we're going to cut right through it on the inside of the leg. We're going to cut all the way over to the seam allowance, and then we're going to jump and leave ourselves a hinge. Here we are. See? It's just a big mouth. That's all it is. A big mouth. Now, I've never heard of anybody needing more room down there. I've never heard of that. You may need, now there are some ladies that have a really full behind, and you may need to cut this one and widen it. But I'm cutting this one and crossing it over. And I cross mine over 1/2 inch. That's how much I cross mine over. 1/2 inch right here on the seam line. Just like a sway back. Do you have to change the hem? No. There's nothing wrong with the hem. The extra material isn't down here at your ankle. The extra material is hanging out underneath your rear end. So, you get some tape. You cross this over. And since it's a mini, I'm not going to cross it as far. Cross it over. I think you can see here in the back how I've crossed it over right there. Here in the front. And if you end up with a funky looking piece hanging out over here, just get your styling ruler and just redraw that curve nice and smooth. See? And so what if up here? What goes on up there? I've taken this tuck before too, but with SureFit Designs, you should not require this tuck right here. Why? Because SureFit Designs has used your crotch. It hasn't used a make-believe crotch that these are made up for. SureFit Designs uses your actual crotch measurement, so you should not have to make this adjustment right here. But if you're using a commercial pattern and you do need to, cut it the same exact way. All the way across to the side, jump the side seam, make a hinge. And so your behind is going to go in here. So if you need extra, you just give it extra. If you need extra, you just give it extra. If you need less, you cross it over and you give it less. See? It's an awesome, easy, simple way to fix too much or not enough going on right here. That's all I do. That's all I do. That's all I have to do to the SureFit Designs pattern, because the crotch length on the front, the crotch length on the back, I do have to lower the sides a little bit. I showed you that the other day in my last video. But that's just because I go down so sloped right here. And you know, I don't want a V-neck on the front of my pants. So it just looks much nicer if I lower the sides, because I want the middle to at least come up over my belly button. But I do not want the middle to come up to my bra. So I hope that makes sense. This is the back. Do I have to do anything to the front because I did this to the back? The question is, if you make the correction to the back, and you'll notice I have an actual back now, the back actually has a much longer crotch than the front. So when you do the bum tuck in the back, does that affect the front? The proper answer to that question is yes. These two seams are going to sew together. The inseams right here. You put the front and the back together, and you're going to sew them together right down this seam right here. So if you change the back inner seam, you have to change the front inner seam as well. So let me show you quickly, because I already did this in the other video. I just was using a front instead of a back, but that's just because I happened to pick up the wrong pattern piece. So we're going to cross this over. Remember our math, we're going to cross it over. And since this is a tiny pattern, I'm going to cross it over a tiny bit. In an actual pattern, I cross it over 1/2 inch. In an actual pattern. Alright, so I've cut that, and I've crossed it over 1/2 inch right here. Nothing over here. It's a dart. It's a long, skinny dart. So we're going to do the same thing to the front. We're going to cut it from here to the seam, jump the seam, and cut the seam allowance. Be sure you start at the right side. We're not changing the side seam. Okay, so now we've got the front, and we're going to make it match the back. Now, I don't know the correlation of, if you don't need a bum tuck in the front, why would you do this? I don't know. I think that probably a lot of us do end up with a little extra fabric right here in the front as well. So, all I know is, what you do to the back, you have to do to the front. Then we would even up this area that's kind of jagged now, and we would put it together, the two inner seams, and they would match perfectly. Okay? If you watch this the first time I put it up on YouTube, I'm very sorry that I said that. Several of you caught me. And I still didn't agree with you, because in my mind, I was working up here on the back of the pant. And if you work up here, you don't have to change the front, because this sews to this. The center back sews to itself, the center front sews to itself. Okay, so that's what I had in my mind. I was telling you completely wrong. If you change the back below your bum, you're going to have to change the front as well. I apologize I didn't get that right the first time, but now when anybody watches this bum tuck video, they'll at least have a real front and a real back and the right answer. I just noticed that this says front down here, but pretend like it says back, because that's the piece I used and they look the same in a drawing. So actually, the back usually swings out quite a bit more. Now, since this was a front, Lorraine labeled this as a front. Why does she have these two lines on the front? Because some people need to fix the front here across the belly. Some people need to fix the front underneath here. In a commercial pattern, you would not have to do that. I have never had to do that on a Sure Fit Designs pattern in the front. But maybe there are people who maybe that don't have a belly like I have, and maybe they're flat in the front, and maybe they do end up with a little bit of excess here in the front. I don't know. But Lorraine shows those two lines, which this was her front, it's my back. And I'm probably confusing you to no end, and I'm sorry about that. The next question was, what elastic do you use and where do you get it? Well, this is my explosion elastic. I believe I bought this at Hancock Fabrics when it was going bankrupt. I have a note on here that it's 1 inch and it's great for leggings. But I can't find the beginning and I can't find the end, and it just keeps springing off of here. Oh my goodness sakes alive. It's like this is one piece, and it's wound around and around and around, and then it goes to the middle and around and around and around, and then it goes to the other side and around and around and around, and it's just a disaster. So, this is just whatever elastic Hancock Fabrics sold 1 inch wide. When you're choosing an elastic, what you need to do is measure it from a place to a place. Let's start at the beginning. Let's... Oh my goodness. All right. Let's measure 10 inches. 10 inches from there to where? There to there. Stretch it as far as you can. Ah! And then let go. Put it back down and see if it's still 10 inches. And it is. You want to make sure that your elastic stretches out, but then goes back to where it was before you stretched it. That's called recovery. Very important in an elastic. So I like that one. Now this is a Judy Singer elastic. I think she sells it. Does she sell it? If she doesn't sell it, you can get it on Amazon or probably any sewing store. I don't know where I got mine. But Judy Singer might sell it. But she likes this kind of elastic. And this elastic is 1 1¼ inch wide. And it has a casing in the middle of it, and you can pull the tie and tie it. So you can put it inside your pants, and then you can make it looser or tighter because you'll have a tie inside to tie it or loosen it. I was going to make Judy Singer's pants, and I bought some of this to make her pants or to put it in Glenda's pants, but I always grab this because this is what I'm used to, and I haven't really used this one yet. But I think you might really, really like this one if you did get it. I need to rewind that. My elastics seem to all have this explosion disease. Okay. This is one that I've had for years and years and years and years. It's 1 inch, and it's one I made to put over my head and down on my waist and around my waist when I mark the waist on my pants. I always mark a line around my waist on my pants and then adjust the top above that accordingly. You saw me do that the other day. I think. That might have been the part of my video that disappeared. Now this is an elastic. This feels like Peggy Sager's elastic. It's 1½ inch wide. I have it in white. There it is in white. It says Peggy's on it. I have it in white, and I have it, I guess I have it stored someplace else in the black. This comes in 50-yard rolls of black and of white, and I've got 2 50-yard rolls, and they don't fit in this, so obviously I have them somewhere else. The thing about Peggy Sager's elastic silhouette patterns, she often has this half price if she ever does buy a whole roll of it. It's wonderful elastic. You can stretch it out. It doesn't stretch as far as that other one, but it bounces back exactly to 10 inches. Now the thing about her elastic is, you will notice that it comes 1½ inches. You will notice that this is not 1½ inches, but it came off of this piece of elastic because you can cut hers. And I have cut a 1/4 inch piece off of that length of elastic. So the thing I love about Peggy's elastic, it works really, really good in leggings. If you only want 1 inch, cut it 1 inch. If you only want 1/2 inch, cut 1/2 inch. It works really good in pants, in skirts, in leggings. Really good in leggings. 1½ inch is a great width for the top of your leggings. And like I said, you can slice it and dice it and it still works. And you can sew through it. You can go all the way around it and sew through it and it still stretches. This elastic is from Cutting Line Designs, Louise Cutting. And you are just going to be surprised when I show you this elastic. This elastic, you can't slice it, dice it, but you can sew through it. You can sew rows through it. This elastic, she tells you, I mean, you're going to think I've got this wrong, but I don't. You can ask Philly. She says, measure what you need, then cut 9 to 12 inches off of it. You're like, what? No way, you couldn't possibly do that. Watch how this stuff stretches. Let's measure it and see how far it stretches. Let's take 20 inches and stretch it. Look at that. That's 20 inches, and it stretches to 40 inches. 40 inches. Unbelievable elastic. I have used it and used it and used it, and I have a whole bunch of it in black and white. You cannot slice this one, but you can sew rows through it. And so the top of your band would have like 3 rows of stitching around it. Makes it look professional and really nice. All right, my friends, I'm going to let you go. I've got fabric to fold and tops to cut out, and then I'll come back and show them to you, just like I always do. Bye.